गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya 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 Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Bhraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Thiravanachari Jaya Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Shri Radhe Jaya Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you all for being here. So as usual, every day at 6 o'clock we have a Bhagavad Gita class. So thank you all for being here. And so today the verse we're reading from is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 25. So yeah, I can just say some prayers before we get started. So you can repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'll just recite the verses and you can repeat after me if you wish. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadevam viditvainam nanu shochitum arhasi. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadevam viditvainam nanu shochitum arhasi. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadevam viditvainam nanu shochitum arhasi. Anyone would like to repeat? I'll try it out. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadevam viditvainam nanu shochitum arhasi. Anyone else? Avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadevam viditvainam nanu shochitum arhasi. Word to word translation. Avyakta, invisible. I am this soul. Achintyaha, inconceivable. I am this soul. even sounds like I am the soul, I am this soul. Avikaryaha, unchangeable. I am this soul. Uchyate is said. Tasmat, therefore. Evam, like this. Viditva, knowing it well. Enam, this soul. Na, do not. Anushochitam, to lament. Arhasi, you deserve. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Can you go down? Yeah, thank you. So translation. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. Maybe we can repeat part by part. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. Purport. As described previously, the magnitude of the soul is so small for our material calculation that he cannot be seen even by the most powerful microscope. Therefore, he is invisible. As far as the soul's existence is concerned, no one can be established in his existence experimentally beyond the proof of Shruti or Vedic wisdom. We have to accept this truth because there is no other source of understanding the existence of the soul, although it is a fact by perception. There are many things we have to accept solely on the grounds of superior authority. No one can deny the existence of his father based upon the authority of his mother. There is no source of understanding the identity of the father except by the authority of the mother. Similarly, there is no source of understanding the soul except by studying the Vedas. In other words, the soul is inconceivable by human experimental knowledge. The soul is consciousness and the soul is consciousness and consciousness the soul is consciousness and conscious. That also is the statement of the Vedas, and we have to accept that. Unlike the bodily changes, there is no change in the soul. As eternally unchangeable, the soul remains atomic in comparison to the infinite Supreme Soul. The Supreme Soul is infinite, and the atomic soul is infinitesimal. Therefore, the infinitesimal soul, being unchangeable, can never become equal to the infinite soul or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This concept is repeated in the Vedas in different ways just to confirm the stability of the conception of the soul. Repetition of something is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly without error. Shri Prabhupada ki. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschate Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Thank you all for being here, and I'm not really qualified to sit here because topics of the soul are very high level and we're very much in bodily concept of life. So, but just speak something for my own purification, and so maybe I can learn something from it, and also maybe something beneficial may also come out for all of us here. That. So here we're in the towards the beginning of chapter 2, towards the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. So far, Arjuna has just presented his dilemma that he doesn't want to fight because he's so attached to his family members. He doesn't want to cause them harm because of his compassion for them. And he's told Krishna, I will not fight. And he collapses like that. So then after that he asks Krishna, please, Karpanya dosho pahata savava pichami tvam dharma samudachetaha yadshaya nishitam bruhitanme shishyashteham shadimam tvam prapannam. He declares, he accepts Krishna as his spiritual teacher and to guide him. So Krishna, initially he gives some wisdom, but the first lesson that he actually gives Krishna is that we're not the body, that we're actually the soul. And this is actually the most fundamental knowledge in spiritual advancement, because it's related to who we are as a person. And isn't it the most important thing to know that who are we, who am I? Because I am the medium by which we experience the whole world. It's happening through me, right? I experience everything, and my whole world is based on my perception, like that, me. So we experience the world. I am the person experiencing this world. So this is the most fundamental thing to understand, that who am I? And before even Krishna explains that he is God, that I am God, he explains to Krishna, he explains to Arjuna who he is. So the idea is that before you even try to understand God, which is really high level, first maybe we should try to understand who we are also. And when we understand, if we can understand ourselves as a person, who am I, what is my identity, then we may have a chance of understanding who is the Supreme Personality. So if we understand our nature, what am I made of? What is it that makes me, me, like that? Then we can actually understand others, like who are others, and ultimately who is the divine, like that. So the Vedic aphorism is that Aham Brahmasmi. Everyone's heard this before? Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit. Aham Brahmasmi, right? So like that, we are spirit in nature, so that's what we're trying to understand. Who am I, right? One time I was trying to explain to someone, you're the body. Sorry, you're not the body. You're not your name, right? We have a name, and we become attached even with our name. So I told this person, you're not your name, right? You're just you could have been named anything, right? It's just a series of letters. Like your name could be Rahul, R-A-H-U-L. So it's just a series of letters. What does it really mean? You could have been named anything. So I told this one particular person, you're not your name. But because they were so attached to their name, they actually got really frustrated with me. Like, how can you tell me I'm not my name? Because they were so attached to this external concept of who they are. So like that, on a deeper level, then people think that I am this body, that this is who I am. I am Nepalese, I am Indian, I am white, I'm black, I am Mexican, etc. There's so many different identities from different countries people identify with. So like that. So people identify with the nation of the birthplace of their birth. People also identify with their football team even, I'm an Arsenal fan, and something happens to Arsenal, they get so disturbed like that. The Bhagavad Gita is taking us so much more beyond the superficial levels of identity. And really in the world, except the Vedic philosophy, the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, you will not really find this knowledge being taught anywhere else in school. You won't find this in university even. They all are centered around teaching you that you are this body. You enjoy this body as much as possible. There's nothing more than this. Enjoy it as much as possible. So even in my first lesson when I was in university, one of my first lectures in neuropharmacology, the lecturer told the whole class, like hundreds of people, that you're nothing but a bunch of neurons, neurons firing and interacting. You're nothing more than that. You're just a chemical reaction, right? So this is like the first lesson, and we get hammered this in university. This is what you are. There's nothing more. Just a bunch of neurons acting together that interact together to create this feeling of consciousness that I am something, I am conscious. But no, other than that, it's just a chemical reaction. So this is the modern so-called scientific understanding of identity about the soul. That consciousness, so here we're talking about consciousness, that ultimately the soul is conscious, right? Everyone understand what means consciousness? You know that annoying thing in between our naps? That's when we're conscious, like, oh, I am, that feeling of being aware. It's like, so this is who we are. Intrinsically, this is our nature, our consciousness. But the modern science is saying that this consciousness is just coming because of our neurons interacting. So people believe that this is actually the reality. But actually, even what the scientists are saying, even they don't know this. That even what they're saying, that it's just a neurons firing and everything, this is not actually a fact. This is actually still a theory, even in science. Although they talk really smart and they will present it like, yeah, this is the case, with all their word jugglery. But actually, if you actually do the research, there is actually no evidence at all, like zero evidence, that our consciousness is coming from the brain. There's no evidence at all that says that our consciousness, the fact that we're conscious, is coming from the brain. Zero evidence at all. All they have is theories. Okay, maybe the neurons are firing in a complex way and it creates consciousness, etc. But this is just a theoretical thing. There's no actually fact. So this is a mental speculation, people's imagination, and we're led to believe that. So this is a problem even scientists are been tackling for a long time, and they call it the hard problem of consciousness, that they don't know at all what consciousness is, where it comes from. And all they say is that, no, we don't know now, but we'll know in the future. We'll find out one day through our scientific discoveries. We'll know all these things. But should we just believe that? Like, oh yeah, one day we'll know, and we'll just go with you guys for now. Because they don't really have anything factual, but they still try to fool people, thinking that maybe, yeah, there is, that it has to have a physical basis. But these Vedic wisdoms for thousands and thousands of years have presented an alternative model of consciousness, that the soul is actually beyond the body. It's actually external to the body. And actually, because of this soul, this Atma, this spiritual particle that we are, that is actually what gives life. That is actually what animates the body. Right? So if you see a dead body on the floor, the person's dead. Why is that? Because the soul is no longer there. The soul has left the body, so the symptoms of life, the thing that gives the body life also, has departed. Like that. Hare Krishna. So yes, so the Vedic understanding is that this soul, that which you are, this infinitesimal particle of spirit, enters the body at the time of conception, and then it gives it life to grow, like that. And naturally, as the body ages, as the body decays, it becomes inhabitable for the soul. And often due to the misery that at the time of death, because of that intolerable pain, the soul then leaves the body, because it cannot tolerate that pain so much more. So the Vedic model is that, just like, okay, so like anyone is driving, you're driving a car? No, you're driving a car, Mataji? Not here? Yeah, you're driving a bike? Or car? Okay, nice. So, like, You might be driving a car. What car is it? Vauxhall, yeah. So yeah, you wouldn't go around telling your friends, "Hey, look at me, I'm a Vauxhall car, 2025, whatever." Right? Okay, it's an old car still. You're not the car, right? You're not the car. Yeah, so like that. Similarly, this body is a machine, but I'm not the machine, right? We'll have different models of machine. Some made in Gujarat, some made in Nepal, etc. Different models. But it would be foolish to go around telling people, "Yo, look at me, I'm this car. I'm a blue car, bro." You wouldn't say that, right? Because that's foolish. So similarly, but the problem is we do that all the time. We go around displaying, "Yeah, this is who I am. I am this body." But actually, the Vedic wisdom is teaching us that no, you're not the body, you're in the body, driving the body and controlling the body. Like that. If I asked you, the question is, who are you, right? Who am I? So if I asked you, are you your eyes or are you seeing through your eyes? What would you say? Later on? You see through your eyes, right? Because even without your eyes, doesn't mean that you're still a person, right? There's no less of you. And there are people born blind. Does that mean they're less of a person? No, they're still persons, independent of the body. So, or follow-up question is, are you your ears or are you hearing through your ears? Hearing through the ears, right? So yeah, like that, we can see that we're not our eyes, we're not our ears. Are we our skin, or are you feeling the world through the skin? Right? We experience the world through the skin. So like that, we can see quite simply that we're not the body. And then people will say things like, "Oh, but I am my feeling, I am my thoughts," right? Like that. But even our thoughts, is that who you are? Would you say you are your thoughts? Your feelings, your ideas, your desires. It's interesting. So people say, "This is who I am." I feel this. Like I think like this. So that actually it's explained that the soul, the consciousness is even higher and even more subtler than the mind. So we can't be the mind. You can see in one way that actually even our mind, our thoughts, they're like a sense object because they come to us, right? You can notice your thoughts. Oh, it's coming, and it then goes. Then another thought comes and goes. Another thought comes and goes, comes and goes. Like a cloud, right? In the sky, the cloud is passing, but the sky is always there in the background. So, like that, we can also perceive, just through some meditation and observing our mind, that our thoughts is always passing like a currents of river, like that, and there's something even outside of us, right? So we can also perceive that, and therefore we're not also our mind either, like that. And what we are is like that sky in the cloud. We're like the sky, and the clouds are like our different experiences, our different thoughts, feelings, desires, like that. But the problem is we get so caught up in what's in front, we start identifying with the cloud, we start identifying with the world. But actually, the reality is that we're observer. We're actually observing our mind, we're observing our thoughts, we're observing our feelings, etc., like that. So this is also a very liberating concept. Similarly here, Krishna explains that knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. So now we can understand with a more transcendental vision that beyond the body, that I don't have to be so afraid of my bodily image, anxious about my body, because ultimately, I'm not this body, but I'm looking after this body. And similarly with the mind, we have so many negative thoughts, so many terrible thoughts, and am I these thoughts? No, because they come from our environment, our media, things that we consume. So we can also be liberated from our mind. That, wow, I'm not the mind. I'm something beyond. I'm higher than the mind. Like that. And this way we can actually have better control of the mind rather than not let us control us, the soul, and not let us be lost in the world, because as soon as we start to be controlled by the mind, we start following it and we get so entangled more and more in this world. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions at this point? Okay. So just about the soul and consciousness, I just wanted to share a story from the Ramayana, some parts in the Ramayana. So it's a dialogue between Vishishta Muni, who is the guru of Lord Ram. He's teaching Ram about different, not that he needs to be taught, but there's a dialogue between that, even though all this knowledge is coming from Ram, Krishna. So he explains a story about King Janak. Janak, Sita's father. Yeah, Sita's father. So Janak, one day he was peacefully sleeping in his palace. And, it's a very peaceful setting. Everything is guarded, protected. Then all of a sudden, he's sleeping and all of a sudden he hears a knock. Maharaj, wake up. And the sentry comes in, his guards come in. Maharaj, we're being attacked. Like that. So then the king is alarmed, he's waking up, what's going on? And then the soldiers are like, no, we're being attacked, Maharaj, we need to get ready. So it's a big attack, we need to get ready for a battle. And so the king immediately, he gets ready, he gets all the cavalry ready, he gets all the soldiers ready, he gets the whole army ready to fight. The enemy king is about to attack, like that. So he gets all ready to go out, all the soldiers are prepared, and then there's a fierce battle. The enemies attack the kingdom. There's a fierce battle, all the soldiers are wounded. And ultimately the enemy kingdom defeats King Janak severely, like really badly. And he's so badly defeated, there's no one left. And the enemy king approaches King Janak and he grabs him. And just as before he's about to kill him, he says, you're a king, I will excuse you. But you get out of this kingdom and you're exiled. So King Janak exiles the kingdom. And as he's even walking through his own kingdom, people are not even his own citizens previously, because of the fear of the new king, they're not even willing to help him, like that. So he's going towards the border of the kingdom, starving and dragging himself, wounded, completely humiliated and defeated. And he's walking towards the border of the kingdom, begging for food, and finally he sees a food distribution thing near the other kingdom, like that. So he queues up long way for some food after being so starving for such a long time. He queues up, and finally he's about to arrive to get some food, and and there's nothing left. There's like only a little bits of scratches of prasad left in the bottom. And then anyway, so some liquid starch or something, and just as he's about to drink this ball of starch or whatever's left, just as he's about to drink it, a bird comes and swoops it away, and everything is ruined, everything is on the ground. Now here, Janak is so frustrated, and he's just crying out, why? He's just smashing his hands on the floor, why is this happening? And he's crying and crying. And he's crying, so much tears are coming from his eye. How can I get defeated like this? Then Maharaj Janak is just there lamenting and lamenting. He hears a voice. He says, Maharaj, why are you shouting? Why are you screaming? Then he wakes up And he realizes that he's back in his palace. So after this whole fierce battle, he realized that it was a dream. And his servants were like, Maharaj, why are you shouting? What's wrong? What's wrong? And because King Janak was so immersed in this dream, he starts thinking, he kind of loses the plot. He's like, that was so real. But is this real? Or is that real? Now he thinks this is a dream. Because that dream was so real, now he thinks that this is a dream. And he's so bewildered. He's thinking, oh my God, is this real or is that real? Because he's a very analytical, he's a very spiritual king as well. So he's really like confused. He's very philosophical. And he doesn't know what to say. And his soldiers and his generals, they also can't answer him. They also are like confused. What do we tell this guy, man? He's already... And the queen is like also like, finally the old man lost the plot. He's lost the plot. He's getting old. Something. So all the papers are stacking up and everything, and the word goes around, the king's gone a bit crazy. He's lost the plot. He's thinking, is this real? Is that real? Maharaj, would you like some prasadam? And he's like, is this real or is that real? He's just completely lost in that, thinking if this is the real world or was that dream the real world? So this one sage was traveling through the kingdom, Ashtavakra Muni. And as he was traveling, he hears all the commotion about the king. He's like, what's going on? So he goes to the kingdom, and he inquires further. And because of his, his intelligence, he's able to discern, this is what's happening. I see what's happening. So he goes to the king, and the king says the same thing. Is this real or is that real? He's just completely lost. So then the sage, being very, being able to see what's going on, he says, so King Janak, were you there on the battlefield in the dream? And King Janak says, yes, I was there. I fought, I was wounded, I was terrified, I was so scared. I was there on the battlefield. Then he says, King Janak, are you here in the palace now? He says, yes, I'm here in this palace. I'm experiencing all this luxury. I'm experiencing all this. And he says, in the dream, were you a beggar in the dream? He was begging for the food, right? So were you a beggar in the dream? Were you begging in the dream? He said, yes, I was a beggar. I was completely deprived of everything. I was a beggar. He had this real experience, And he asked him, are you a king now? Yes, I'm a king. He says, which is true? And the sage replies, O king, neither the king is real, nor the beggar is real. Neither is true. These are both false worlds. The dream is false, and this world that you're experiencing is also false. But then he asks another question. But king, were you there in that dream? He said, yes, I was there. And are you here now? Yes, I am here. And he said, that is the reality. So you were there in that dream and you're also here now. The circumstances are different, but what you can be certain of is that the constant factor, which is the consciousness, the observer, the witness of both of these dreams are real. So the only reality, the reality is actually you. You're the reality in your dream and you're the reality now. The characters may be different, but you, the observer, the witness, is the same. Like that. So the idea is that these roles that we play in this world and the roles and identities that we play in our dream world, they're all temporary, they're all false. But beyond these superficial roles that we have as a king or as a beggar or a doctor or this person that I'm playing in this life, beyond this act, beyond this actor, there's the real person behind the actor, the real person. So generally in the Upanishads and the Vedic texts, it's described that consciousness has 3 stages. right? So first is the waking consciousness, the waking stage of reality. This is what we're experiencing right now. So maybe we can come in more to come in a bit further to let people in more. Yeah. If you just clear the path a little bit. Yeah. So first stage of consciousness is the waking stage. I'm Bishal. I'm giving this talk. This is who I am. So this reality we experience through our five senses and the world around us. Then the next stage of consciousness is our dreaming stage of consciousness. So in the dream, we don't have experience of the external world because that's all closed. Our senses are shut in the dream. But what we experience is the different concoctions of what the mind creates in the dream. So in this dream, King Janak experienced a dream of being a beggar, being completely in a different role. So that's concocted by the mind. Then we have the third stage of consciousness when we enter this deep, deep sleep, right? Where we experience nothing. So Jiva Goswami explains that in this third deep state of sleep, we experience nothing, right? It feels like I just closed my eyes and I woke up. I experienced nothing. I slept like a log, they say. So in this state, the mind creates an impression of nothing. It's like a blank. When you wake up, oh, I experienced nothing. So the mind creates this, explained like that by Jiva Goswami. So, but beyond these three stages of consciousness, the Upanishads, the Mandukya Upanishad explains how there is a fourth stage of consciousness called the Turiya. Turiya literally means the fourth. And you can say this is like it's the fourth, but this is not in like a 1, 2, 3 and the fourth. So, but this fourth is actually like beyond the three. And it actually permeates this fourth stage of consciousness, the Turiya, is actually our pure consciousness. So we experience in deep, deep sleep, we experience a tinge of it. And in that stage, we experience Brahman, we experience Paramatma, and having that small amount of connection with the fourth transcendental stage of consciousness, of our original consciousness, beyond the clutches of the material energy, we experience such a relief from the material world that it is said that because of this small experience we have with Paramatma or Brahman, we get enough relief, bliss to be able to carry on with the suffering of this world. Just because of that small experience, touch we get with that original consciousness. So this original consciousness, Turiya, it's not like